Greetings! Welcome to this week's version of The Wake. Alright. Monstrosity, the Atomic Brain. Your thoughts? Mine? I'm going to try not to think about it. Now, it's just funny that, and I didn't realize this, and if I'd known it, I would have done this with the Doc and I. But he loves this movie, right? Which I think is hysterical, because, pardon me, because I ranked this one up there, right, with Spider Baby, and that's another movie that he loves. So I just think that's hysterical. And when he did the obit last night, he was funny as hell, you know. And I got to tell you, right, like I see no intrinsic value for this movie at all. It was mildly entertaining, okay? But, you know, you got the old broad, right, who, Mrs. Harkham or whatever, she wanted, you know, to have her brain put in a young chick's body, right? And she wants to go out and live all the things she didn't live before because, you know, she's like, everybody always hated me. You know why? Because you're a cranky old woman. That's why. No one wanted to hang with you because you were rich. You used your money to buy your friends. Poor Victor. I mean, you know. But I not my movie, right? And I said the only time I'll ever watch this again is if a rerun of us hosting it to make it funny, because it was not funny. Pardon me. I know. It's 11:30, and I'm up, so I should be awake, eh? Right? So, that being said, what do we got coming up on Cemetery Sentiment? Well, next week, right, we have, and let me bring it up, we have Keep My Grave Open. Now, the movie, it's an independent movie from what I understand, right? I'll be watching it this week, and not my cup of tea, from what I understand. But, again, Doc loved this one, so, you know what I mean? There's people out there that like it. I don't know yet. I haven't seen it. Can't wait, right? Then the week after that, on 2/6, I have a movie called Caddyshack, or Caddy Hack, excuse me. A friend of mine, this Mike, a friend of mine named Mike from Collingdale, the other side of 023. He's in the movie, right? And part of the show is an interview that I did with him and Delco Live about 3 years ago. And I've been trying, for the longest time, was trying to get a hold of the guy who, you know, holds the cards for this movie. His name's Tony Goggles. And back in like October, finally got a hold of him. And he said, his exact words were, go for it. So we are, right? And we're going to show it on 2/6. It's going to be a Groundhog Day theme. This guy might be traveling out to Pennsylvania, wherever the groundhog pops out of, and do it live from there, which will be fun, you know. For Valentine's Day, we have First Spaceship on Venus, a East German, Polish movie made in the 60s when they were still, like, under the Iron Curtain, right? And it's actually not a bad movie, you know. It drags a little bit. A lot of forethought in it, though. I mean, it was the first time that the spaceship crew, pardon me, was like mixed races and stuff, which in America they hadn't done that yet. There they have the black guy who is one of the crewmen. One of the scientists she's a Japanese lady who had been in a million films. I found out, which is pretty cool, you know. So it's just, you know, it's one of those movies that when you watch it, you'll learn to appreciate it and its history in science fiction. All right. Then we have a bunch of movies going into March. Now, you guys, right? I'm not going to expect cards. Just send beer, right? On March 10th, I'm having my knee replaced. Now, like 10 years ago, I had my right knee replaced, right? And the technology back then, I was literally out of work for 12 weeks. I could have gone back probably after like 10, right? But the doc said stay home 12 weeks. And what did I do? I caught up on I watched Netflix, all of it. When I was home. But so I got to get the other knee done. So I've been pushing it off, right? So I'm going to get it done March 10th. That means, right, that the doc and I will be doing our shows a lot, probably all our shows through the beginning of May when we get together next, right? And that's it. It's not going to be fun, but we'll get it done. Okay. Now, after First Spaceship in Venus, we have Blood Red Beauty. Okay. So we have 3 independent movies coming up, right? One's called Blood Red Beauty. One's called End of the World. And the other one is, where is it at? Long Live the Dead. So we have Long Live the Dead on 1:30, right? And that one and Long Live the Dead 2 Super Zombies and Blood Red Beauty are all 3 movies by this independent company. And we've been waiting to get it on for a long time. So Long Live the Dead, basically, it's like season 4 of The Walking Dead. They're in a prison, and the zombie apocalypse comes, and mayhem, right? And then they have the Super Zombie movie, which is coming up on March 7th, right? That one is like 10 years after the original zombie apocalypse and what they're going through. And there's a vaccine. It's funny, this was done in 2012. A lot of things that they talked about in this movie kind of happened in 2020, which is funny because this movie was 8 years before that. And then Blood Red Beauty, from them, that's sort of like their third in the trilogy. And that one, it's I think that one's the one that's filmed in the mall. Okay. And then when we go into more in March, that's when we start getting to the stuff, right, that we've been putting together, we've been trying to get for the longest time. Basket Case, right? And we got Basket Case 1, 2, and 3, right? Then we have Frankenhooker, which is sort of like a sequel to The Reanimator, right? I'm Haunted 4, right, with Elizabeth Chamberlain. I can't wait to get that one. And I'm kind of hoping that when we have Long Live the Dead and Super Zombies, that the guy's name is, I think his name's Kyle. I'm going to try to interview him and throw that in with those two when we have them on, right? Then we have one called Tales of Dracula, and that was done, it's an independent movie. Doc had interviewed the guy, and he has Tales of Dracula 1 and 2. We're going to have Tales of Dracula 1, right? The doc on Swamp Theater is going to have Tales of Dracula 2, and then eventually Cemetery Cinema will probably get Tales of Dracula 2, which is totally cool, you know what I mean? I can't wait, right? And then, we just have a whole bunch of, new, different things, and something that, the boss, right, Johnny Rios, he came out, and he is super excited about us next year with the movies we're going to get, okay? Now, what happens is, public domain, every year, right, you go back 95 years, right? So anything that's 95 years and older, right, goes into public domain, so anybody can show it, or they can take that IP and do something with it, right? So you have Popeye, Steamboat Willie, Winnie the Pooh, Bambi, right? All of those have come up to public domain. And if you get a chance, watch any of the Poohverse, right? Because I saw the Bambi one. Oh my God. It's actually a really good horror movie, And then I saw the Banana Splits one. They're not public domain, but they came out with a Banana Splits horror movie. And that was excellent, Movies that I would like to just put on the show, right? But it's, getting the rights to them is going to be tough, So couple things, right? So I had a group of my friends last night were actually had a watch party. Went over their house for happy hour, and after happy hour, Helga and I went home. We had a million things we had to get that done for today, which ended up getting canceled because we got like 3 inches of snow out there. But so they had a watch party at their house, right? My one buddy, right, sent me a text and asking me, "What the hell is this?" Right? It's the crown I wore. Okay. Now, in Viking culture, right, what they did was when they went, they had their crowns, most of their crowns were made out of leather, okay? Because the way they looked at it, they didn't like to be dressed gaudy, you know what I mean, with gold and all that. So they used the gold, right, was for coinage, and you know what I mean, gold was money for them, okay? So they didn't believe in like gold crowns and all that, even though one, I think it was Olaf, did have a gold crown, right? But most of them wore like these leather crowns, you know? And I had picked up, so way back, I was at a place called the Troll Market, right? And we had them on the show. And they had this beautiful, full leather crown, right? And I wanted to buy it, but there it was $60. And if I'm going to make a big expense for that, that's not going to do anything useful for the house, right? I got to check out with Helga. And Helga was like, at the time. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then, right, I went back, right, after I put a couple shekels away, and it was sold. So I happened to be looking on the internet, and I saw these leather ones, right? And they're just headbands, but they're reminiscent of the Vikings with the, the crowns they wore to battle. So that's what they were used for. That's what it was. It's a Viking crown, right? And there's different ones for your different level. You know what I mean? Whether you're like high king, royalty kind of thing. And in the high king royalty, they all fought. They all fought in battle. You know what I mean? They weren't like, watch them all die. They actually went and they fought and engaged in battle. So, even if they wanted to wear like a regular crown, right? That would be the first thing that the enemy would go for, is take the crown off his head, right? Right. So, all right. Well, I got a million things to do today because Helga, now that we're not doing the thing we were supposed to do, she's got other things for me to do. And that's cool. We got to get stuff done. Taking the Yule tree down. Yule tree's down in its box. Yeah, I get it. I got a fake tree. I'm at that age where going out and spending $10 a foot for a Christmas tree, which is ridiculous, right? And then if you go to a place where you have to cut your own tree down, they're like $15 a foot. So if I get like a normal size 7-foot tree, it's like 100 shekels, man. That's nuts. Sorry, I can't do that. So we picked up an artificial tree, and it's in its box, and Helga's waiting for me to stick it back in the closet. Okay. So that's what I'll be doing today. So think of me. And I'm also going through all our Christmas lights. Telling you, there's not enough gummies or beer in the world to go through those Christmas lights. But I got to do it because, when we take the lights down, you want to make sure that for next year, all the ones work. So I'm going through them now, and I got one box, like a full tub, one of those big tubs, right? Full right now, full Rubbermaid tub of lights that I'm throwing out, right? The cords are cut, all right? I mean, I plug them in and like 2 bulbs go on. There's a point where it's not worth going through it all just to get, the light lit, the string lit. So, and that's what I'll be doing today. And while I'm doing that, I'll be watching all the movies that we're going to be showing March, April, and May, right? So, that's me, guys. And Darbarian, and and by the way, the boss approved it the other day. I didn't say it when we're doing the show, for our 100th episode, we're going to have Plan 9 from Outer Space. The worst rated science fiction movie ever, right? I actually kind of like the movie, right? I like Tor, right? I like Vampira in it, you know? And then the creepy Martian dude who has that face, it's like, he's just pure evil perverted. Oh my God. But, all right, so that's me with the wake. What the hell was that? I banged the table and something fell on the floor. Anyway, so that's the wake. I will talk to you guys during the week. And if you get a chance, kind of tune in for my dramatic readings from the Book of Darbarian. And, yeah, watch us next week. Next week's going to be a banger. And I'll talk to you then. This is the Mad Darbarian for Cemetery Cinema and Mad Darbarian, The Wake. See